MW, it's Melissa
and Stephanie Carcache, two sisters and the founders of Millennial Women,
and your host of the Mini Talks. We're so excited to introduce to you today our next MW, Erica Dann. Erica is a proud employee of Google, where she works as a people operations business partner, in addition to her role as Miss California 2019. This smart MW holds a master's in international business and a bachelor's in political science from the University of Florida.
Erica shares the road to Miss USA, as well as her passion in combating the homelessness epidemic in the US. Everyone welcome Erica Dann. Erica, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Also, congratulations,
Yes.
Miss California.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you. I am so excited.
Put it on. There we go.
Amazing. I say that I sleep in this. No, kidding. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's an incredibly exciting time, and it's been a whirlwind of a few weeks, that's for sure.
I can imagine. Erica, tell us a little bit about the journey to becoming Miss California.
Absolutely. So it was one that just kind of came to me, if you will. And what I mean by that is this was not a dream I've had my entire life. This was not something from a little girl. I had a dream of becoming Miss USA or America, right? Like many do, especially in this world, as I'm learning. For me, I really had the itch for a personal project and an itch for personal growth and development, in addition to wanting to get more involved in my community and in society. So I was looking for a way to channel that energy into something real and tangible. So I stumbled upon the opportunity of Miss California, and really all the stars started to align at that point. And I can get more into the preparation process and more on that front, but it really became just a focused effort across all these different areas to prepare and to really allow myself to show up as the best version of Erica and have this kind of different story as someone who's coming from tech with my job at Google, or not competing in pageants in the past, right? So it was really staying true to that and kind of just perfecting who I am trying to be, and then dive into the experience. And I always say, you don't know what you don't know. So for me, it was just really an exciting few days of competition, meeting new individuals, networking, pushing myself in different ways in terms of public speaking, interview, on stage, all these things, right? And just a whirlwind that led to me winning. So it was a challenge, it was an opportunity, and it's resulted in just a incredible way for me to grow and push myself into this amazing platform where I have just so much opportunity for impact.
So Erica, walk us through that moment, that initial, I guess, idea of saying, you know what, I think I can really do this. What was that initial process for you?
Oh my gosh, it's such a great question. And it's because this is also fresh, it's really fun to think back, actually. So I love this. It's great reflection. For me, that moment was, I just foreshadowed a little bit of it in my last question, but it really was about this personal project, or this urge that I had to push myself. It really was, the word that comes to mind is challenge. I really wanted to challenge myself, and I really wanted to grow in all these different ways. And I think for me, when I started doing some research on what the role of Miss California really is, outside of the glitz and glamour, right, that we see on social media or we see in Miss Congeniality, right, like those sorts of movies that give us a perception of something, I really was able to say, it was an aha moment, honestly. It was a wow, this actually could be a great fit. This allows me to grow individually. This allows me to have impact in our community. This allows me to get more involved and build my network, build my brand as a woman, right? And this allows me to connect and inspire so many women, especially coming from tech, coming from having that different story. So for me, it was really doing the research and really realizing I could channel my energy into this opportunity and this platform, and it would be able to serve in a way where I was able to touch in all these different areas where I wanted to grow and push myself.
Erica, what I find so interesting is that you say it wasn't something that you had always dreamed about when you were a child, right? There's so many people that know exactly what they want, and they already, plan out the trajectory of their life. And also there's a lot of people that don't have this plan. They don't have this trajectory. I would even say some people don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life. And can you paint that picture for us? What advice you would give somebody that's kind of, they don't have some sort of plan and trajectory for their life and they're sort of figuring it out?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great question. And I think for me, I can relate it to myself and then broaden back out to advice. I think for me, I mean, my whole life, my dream, if you will, was education in a career. And that was heavily influenced through my family but even within that, I chose to make changes based on what I thought was right for myself and how I wanted to push boundaries for myself. So even, my whole life, my parents were of the notion of you should go to medical school or you should go to law school, right? You should get that professional degree. So that's how I focused my attention in school and studied political science and took the LSAT and all these things. And then realized, actually, no, I don't want to go into this world. I want to enter the business world. I want to enter corporate America. I want to enter tech. So I made that change. I made that pivot. And it was really listening to myself and not feeling like there were boundaries based on a path I had started to go down or based on any constraints anyone else was putting on me or I was putting on myself, right? So that notion of pushing boundaries has really carried with me throughout my life and these different chapters that I've entered and was foundational in my decision to apply for Miss California and now compete in Miss USA in a few short weeks. So when I think of broadening that out to advice I would give someone who maybe doesn't know their path, maybe doesn't know what they want to do, it's to not let anything hold you back from what you think is right? What you think, what you want to achieve, your North Star goal that you're shooting for, reach for that, push for that. Don't be afraid to iterate as you go and change the path of it. It's all leading you to where you're supposed to be. So it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your experience is, right? You can push for that goal with hard work, preparation, and staying true to yourself throughout the process. So that's a part of my message, and I think it's certainly applicable to your question. But I think it's really true. You just have to really stay true to who you are and what you want, and don't be afraid. Push the boundaries, shatter the glass ceiling.
You also mentioned Google. I know we're freaking out. We saw the crown. You are Miss California, and as you said, competing for Miss USA really soon. How is being a woman in tech? Speak a little bit about that. We're so curious.
So I feel incredibly lucky to work at Google. It's been the journey of my career there thus far has been just amazing. It's been a little under 4 years and it's flown by. And I feel very lucky. In my role, I work in people operations, and we are really shepherds of culture and employees, happiness, and really helping make Google one of the best places in the world to work, right? So I work with our engineers actually in Google Cloud specifically every day in my role. So for me, it being a woman in tech, it's very interesting because I'm on the people side and I'm working directly with, our incredible engineers in tech. And you really do start to see and understand maybe some of the challenges women face, right? And minority groups face being in an industry that is more that is more dominated by other groups, right? And so it's very interesting to be able to be in a position where I can be an active listener, I can be a coach, and I can be a thought partner for all different types of Googlers as they go through challenges, growth, et cetera. So it's exciting. It's an opportunity. And I think we've made major strides when it comes to being a woman in tech. And I think the women at Google who are champions of that space are just really trailblazers and paving the way for the rest of the industry.
Absolutely. You know, being a woman in tech and in Google, I mean, you're surrounded by greatness all day. Like, it must feel a little bit intimidating almost, you know, like just because there's just so much going on. Have you faced any sort of challenges within yourself, anything self-doubt or anything within your confidence when you're around such, like I said earlier, greatness? What are the challenges that you have faced in corporate America and in such a company like Google?
Absolutely. No, I mean, it is a great question, and it's so real. Imposter syndrome is so real. And I've experienced it in Google, and I've also experienced it before Google, even in other jobs. In my first job that I had prior to Google, it really stemmed from me knowing I wasn't in the right job for myself and wanting to drive change. So I felt unsettled. I felt unhappy. I felt out of place. So for me, it was really listening to myself and pushing boundaries, right? And driving change. And then entering Google, wow. I mean, you're surrounded by the most brilliant people. Yeah. So I think for me, that really showed up in ways where I was nervous to speak in meetings for a while. I was nervous to voice my opinion. I was nervous to really feel like a value add to the team outside of just some more of the operational stuff, which is still important, right? But I felt almost like I was restricting myself from really being that strategic thought partner when it came to people and culture and all those incredibly important things. So I really had to kind of have a mental check, have some conversations with some mentors who I have to this day, and really kind of recognize, right? Have that sort of awareness is happening and is impacting me, and then build the muscle to start to overcome, right? And it takes intentional time and effort, but it's a real issue. It is. And at a company like Google, it's easy to kind of fall into the swirl, but you know, it's something that you can overcome with awareness and support and community. And once you move forward, you thrive. You truly thrive.
No, you know, it's something that really truly can hold somebody back from their full potential, you know, fear and anxiety and all these things. And truly, we are good enough, right? I feel like, you know, like how you were saying, I didn't even know where I wanted to do, but then I was like, oh, I'm going to do tech. And you went full force and you didn't allow anything to hold your back, fear, self-doubt. Like you were saying that you were afraid to raise your hand in a meeting.
And speak your voice. And how often does that happen? Because we feel imposter syndrome, which is what you said. Right. We feel, well, they probably know more than me. Right. Or like, so I shouldn't voice. Yeah. And this is real. This happens all the time. Yeah. And I also love that you said you spoke with some mentors, because sometimes it is just telling someone, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Right. You know, we can help each other out because we're fundamentally all so much more alike than we are different, right? I feel like a broken record. I say this so much. Yeah. But, you know, just voicing this struggle that you're going through, 10 times out of 10, somebody else already went through it. And they can give you some advice that can get you out of your shell and, like you said, thrive.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, you're spot on, honestly. Mentorship is a huge part of my Google experience, and certainly overcoming that sort of self-doubt or just nervousness. And that's the other thing. It doesn't need to be this kind of dramatic sort of, right, imposter syndrome. It's weighted. That sounds weighted, but it can also just be, you're nervous, you're anxious, you're a bit stressed, you're on edge, you don't feel like you can necessarily share your ideas. So it can show up in more minor ways. And I think just recognizing that, and then, you know, taking steps that you need to take to almost troubleshoot and move forward, will just best set you up for your success in your career and your personal life, right? It carries over in both ways.
Oh, definitely.
Awesome. Erica, you've also spoken about your passion in combating this homelessness epidemic that's going on in the U.S. It is definitely an epidemic, right? It's not even about raising awareness anymore, because I believe that we're very aware that this is a problem here at the moment. I would love to know some of your solutions that you are working on in helping in this issue.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's an epidemic, right? It's a massive problem sweeping our nation. And, there's been some steps that have been taken, but really there needs to be more action. There needs to be more that's done. And I'm a firm believer that us as the people, youth, adults, right? Like people who with platforms, we all have the opportunity to lift our voices and drive change. So really that is a huge focus area for me in this role, and in this I'm privileged to hold the role of Miss California. So I want to ensure that I am using this platform for good, right? That's what this is about, is making a difference and helping those in need. So yeah, a cause I deeply care about is the homelessness crisis, and something I've cared about since a young girl. So for me, as I think about solutions, some steps that I plan to take are, I want to have conversations with local government officials, right? Because those are the decision makers. So, I actually recently this week just started outreach to initiate some of those conversations and get the ball rolling in that space, right? Attending hearings, attending meetings, understanding what's on the agenda, the conversations that are being had, bills that are on the floor being passed, right? All these things, and really understanding how our government in the state of California, and then obviously more broadly, is thinking about this issue and addressing this issue. When I think about solutions that are top of mind for me, I think about mental health. That is about one third of all homeless are due to mental health issues. So I think of how are we thinking about mental health treatment, right? I think of drug addiction. How are we thinking of rehabilitation centers, clinics that are accessible for individuals who are severely addicted to drugs? I think California specifically, I think about our housing crisis. Really, it's this lovely apartment I'm in is costing quite a bit, right? And it's a huge problem, and it's really fueling homelessness. So how are we thinking about accessibility of housing? And these are all complex problems, and I'm not saying that these are just quick solutions, but it's really starting to hone in on the causes, and let's start talking about ideas. Let's start throwing ideas, and let's also ensure that we're working with our government to ensure that there aren't blockers that are happening at that level, and that we are setting our state up for success from a government perspective too, right? In driving change. So I think those are some of the solutions. And to me, the real link is working with our government officials and really kind of lobbying for the issue, if you will, and being a voice. When it comes to the day-to-day, activism is so important. Getting involved, getting in your community, and helping make a difference. I actually work with Glide, which is a nonprofit and social service program facility in one of San Francisco's most impacted neighborhoods called the Tenderloin. And this organization it's an amazing organization. Actually, the movie Pursuit of Happiness, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It was actually based on Glide, and a homeless man and his son who were found outside of Glide, and the organization took them in. So I feel very lucky to volunteer with them. I work most closely with their food services program. They serve 3 meals every single day for 500 to 600 homeless individuals and low-income individuals. So that's where I spend a lot of time. And I recently concluded a fundraiser, and we were able to raise a little short of $10,000 for the cause. So those are some of the engagement efforts that I'm working on.
Erica, as a millennial woman in San Francisco, I know you can't speak for every woman, but in your own opinion, as a millennial woman in San Francisco, what do you think are the challenges that MWs are facing today in your city?
Yes, it's a great question. I think that balance is incredibly important. And what I mean by that is we are in an incredibly fast-paced city, and our generation is an incredibly fast-paced generation. So there's a lot of pressures that come with that level of go, 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 personally, professionally, right? I mean, it's very different than how our parents lived. We're now traveling the world. We're switching jobs all the time to continue to push ourselves. We're starting our own companies. It's in San Francisco is really this hub, right? So I think a major challenge we're facing is striking that balance of well-being in addition to pushing, right? In addition to pushing and thriving and trying to achieve as much as you can personally and professionally. So that's one thing that I see. Another thing that I see, which falls under that idea of balance, is this really dependency on technology. And I might sound hypocritical because I am a woman in tech working at Google, right, in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley. I could keep it going, but I mean, it is real. We are attached to our phones. We are attached to our computers, and that dependency on technology and social media and platforms is real, right? And I think it's something that we need to ensure that we are balancing, and we're allowing for the other things in life that are so important, right? Connection, passions, going outside, appreciating nature, right? I sound like my mother, but it's important. And I think it's something that when we're in a city like San Francisco, we lose that focus a little bit. So, and our whole generation does, right? So those are some things that are top of mind for sure.
Absolutely. Could you share maybe some advice, like how do you balance your life, or what are the things that, and even with technology, what are some of the tips and tricks that you use in your own life that are helping you overcome this challenge? Because we actually would really, really love to know all that from a personal perspective.
Some things that I do, I'm very intentional. At this time in my life, things are so busy. So that's also a big factor in what I'm about to say. But I'm very intentional about planning and blocking time. Mm-hmm. So I am sure I'm at the start of every week, I make sure that I have workouts scheduled in, that I have time to meet up with at least one friend that week scheduled in, right? And I allow for that time. I schedule in that breathing room and really protect that personal time that allows me to have that balance and step away from the computer, right? Because the work will never stop and you can keep going. I can keep going and going, and right. And you step away from the phone, put the phone down. I think another thing that I've been trying to navigate is, in the role of Miss California, social media is a factor. So it's not only my personal social media, but there's also this additional layer of the organization's social media that I am the face of. And that's such an important role, and that touches so many. So for me, it's ensuring that I'm doing my job in that space, which is so important, but that I also am still creating that room and putting the phone away. So little things like this might sound silly, but I do not let myself go on my phone first thing in the morning. I give myself about 10 to 15 minutes, which doesn't sound like much, but it helps, of just thought, right? Reflect. What does my day look like? You meditate, whatever that thing is for you that gets you going and started in the right way. And similarly, before bed, I have the same practice, and I don't let myself get lost on social media scrolling away. I try to read or study or do different things that allow me to really take time to myself, rather than just getting absorbed into the technology. So little best practices like that have helped me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am loving this girl chat, and I am so sad that it's coming to an end. I want to ask you the last and final question. What is next for Erica Dann?
Oh my gosh, such a great question. And it's like, oh, which way do we go with this right now? But for me, I have a two-part balancing act where my time is really focused, and it's becoming the next Miss USA and Universe, and then also, allowing myself to grow as a senior leader at Google. So I think for me, in my nirvana, in my perfect world, if I could have both, what would be next would be achieving the goal of becoming Miss Universe and representing the state, the amazing country of the United States, holding that title. And then also, coming back, or simultaneously thriving as a female at Google and growing into a senior leader of the company. So those are my goals. That's what's next. The next immediate step is Miss USA. So May 2nd, and I'm just all focused on that goal.
Erica,
oh
we're rooting for you.
Yes.
We believe in you. We are so excited for you, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining us today.
Oh, it's an honor to be here. You two are amazing examples of strong, powerful women who are setting the tone for everyone else. So thank you for your time and your questions and your interest in my story. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you so much. And next time we see you, girl, you better have that Miss USA crown on.
We're going to add crown number 2.
Woo, I love it.
I love it. Good luck, Erica. Like she said, we're cheering you on. Lots of love.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
If you want to learn more about Erica and her road to Miss USA, you can follow her on Instagram at Erica M. Dan, as well as MissUSA.com.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mini Talks. Brand new episodes air every Thursday on Facebook, YouTube, IGTV, as well as wearemillennialwomen.com. While you're there, don't forget to leave us a comment.
Until next time, MW,
Always love
Melissa
and Stephanie Carcache.